Hey everybody, this is Questioning the Narrative Ohio Architecture Edition. So about a week ago, my buddy said, hey, what's going on in Michigan? What's happening with the frogs? And I jokingly sent this picture in and I said, this is what's happening to the frogs. So this is a book about the assassination of President William McKinley. And it says, guys, he was shot in this building. This is in Buffalo, New York in 1904. And look at how extravagant these buildings are. And they were kind of confused. They said, well, what do you mean? And what I meant is kind of the title of this video, Questioning the Narrative. Because guys, if you lie to me once, as just like my buddy or so, maybe I'll let that slide. But if you lie to me a couple times, then I'm going to start questioning the stuff you do. So that was kind of my response. And so what is an exposition real quick? Just because I think this is pretty fascinating. It's a good introduction to the video. Well, we had the Buffalo World's Fair, we had the San Francisco World's Fair, we had the St. Louis World's Fair, and the Chicago World's Fair. And they would display new findings in science. I mean, you guys can research into it more. I more so just think it's amazing, the architecture they were building, and it was all temporary. Keep that in mind, it was all temporary. But nonetheless, let's get into it. Oh yeah. Well, quick intro. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. It's just so fundamental to question everything. And when people talk about conspiracy, that's really just anything that goes against the mainstream narrative or centralized education. So, it doesn't mean it's wrong and it doesn't mean you're crazy. You're just questioning what they tell you. So we'll start off at Ohio State's campus. Here, guys, this is Orton Hall, and I always thought this was so interesting. We got all these people out here. Look at the little old car model. Everybody's in top hats. The road's not even paved. And guys, look at Orton Hall. Just think about them building this building in the late 1880s. And guys, the windows are at ground level. Ivy all over the wall. The rocks look weathered. Not to mention, look at the bell tower. I don't even know what to call these. I guess you would call them reptiles, reptoids maybe. And we have jackal faces on the pillars. Just an amazing architectural feat for 1880. Despite the obscurity of the fucking reptiles and the jackals, despite all that, it's still an amazing architectural feat if it truly was made in the 1880s. Now, guys, we also had a castle on our campus. This was at the front of the Oval. Let's say they said it opened in 1898. I'm not sure when it was built, but that's when it was opened. And apparently they used this for a lot of different purposes. Apparently it was used for intramural sports as one of them. Could you imagine SAE pulling up to play Pie Cat? Got a big basketball game tonight. Let's head over to the castle. Just crazy. And then it burnt down, of course. And apparently they used it for military science as well. Interesting, to say the least. Now, here's the entrance, the rotunda to the Ohio State Stadium. And nothing too obscure about this, but it just shows some striking resemblance. I'll leave it at that. And guys, do not forget that Orton and Hayes Hall and many other buildings on our campus have tunnels beneath them. So apparently in 1892, they made these tunnels. And to jog everyone's memory, this is Hayes Hall at the other end of the Oval, all the way across the Oval. Another building that looks very obscure to be built in the 1880s, also with windows at the ground level and looks like a tunnel or something underneath the main entrance. Just very interesting. And then to think that there was a tunnel made to go under to connect Orton and Hayes Hall, that is a tremendous feat. And just thinking about why. Could they do it? Sure. I guess so. But why? There's almost only 2-3 buildings on the Oval at the time. And to think they made a tunnel connecting them is just absurd. So why does all this matter? Well, Novus Ordo Seclorum, it's the possibility of a new world order. The possibility that people came in and erased the past. They hid and concealed some of our history. Now, I'm not going to get too much into these things, but we did almost have we see all the time these magnificent buildings getting caught on fire, or lit on fire, however you look at it. This is in San Francisco, and all these cathedrals that get burnt down. A global restart. But let's not get into that. Let's just look at the architecture and question the Ohio architecture narrative. Although all this stuff is fun to look at, and it is fun to question. Who did make all this stuff over in Egypt and Iran? What technology did they have? Where did they go? This is in the Vatican of them almost kind of worshiping the pine cone, the pineal gland, connections to Egypt. Look at bro, he's got the Apple Watch on, and connections to the Anunnaki, all with the pine cone. What does the Vatican know that we don't? But of course, it's connected to Washington, D.C. as well. And of course, they're all separate from their respective countries. But nonetheless, actually, last thing here, while you are looking at this architecture, remember that they all resemble resonance and cymatics. So the possibility of them knowing some higher form of almost that the architecture is art. It's very interesting. Could it have healing purposes? These are all questions I have. But nonetheless, let's get into it. All right, to start us off, we have the United States Post Office in Columbus, Ohio, built in 3 years, 1884 to 1887. Guys, I can't be the only one. When I drive through downtown Columbus, I'm always just amazed at this building. It just stands out like a sore thumb. And to say it was built for a post office in 3 years is nothing short of exceptional. Of course, we have the courthouse, we have some cathedrals, but let's get on to the more obscure architecture in Ohio, almost kind of the anomalies, you could say. So this is in Tuscarawas County Courthouse in Tuscarawas, Ohio. It's now present-day New Philadelphia. This was said to be constructed by Thomas Boyd in 1882. Hey, you got to give it off to Thomas Boyd. He did it all by himself in 1882. No, I'm just joking, but look how crazy this is. To be built in New Philadelphia in 1882 just doesn't follow what they're telling us. Doesn't follow what they're telling us with a population of 3,000 people. How many of those people were elderly or children? Why did they need a courthouse of that magnitude? Let's pop over to Marion County, Ohio. This courthouse was built during 1884 to 1886, a whopping 2 years for Marion County. Now this, guys, I saw this and I was just confused. What is this doing in Marion, Ohio? What purpose does this serve? If you told me Rome or Greece, maybe. Why Marion, Ohio? Again, with the population of under 5,000 people at the time. Now, this, take a guess, is in the glorious Warren, Ohio. Right by Youngstown, I believe. I believe Jordy went to Warren. I'm not sure if it's the same place. But construction began in 1858. In 1858, they just threw together this building in Warren, Ohio. Here you go, Jordy. Here's a nice building for you. Built in 1858. And here, I'm going to read this old little excerpt. This is about a courthouse in Bucyrus, Ohio. The old county jail of 1827 burned down. The county did not have enough funds to construct a new one, so the project was placed on hold until 1839. Blah, 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 blah. The needs of the county were met until it decided that a new courthouse was needed in the 1850s. So in Bucyrus, Ohio, they decided to just throw together this courthouse. Look at it with the oxidized iron and copper. It's just nothing less than remarkable that they threw this up in Bucyrus, Ohio after telling us they couldn't afford to refurbish the county jail. The narrative is sometimes funny. With a whopping population of 1,000 people in 1850, it's just absurd. Like, nobody's believing this. And it's just like, it just doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. We'll go rapid fire here, get y'all out of here. This is in London, Ohio. This is in Wilmington, Ohio. It's where my dad went to college. Oh, he went to college in Wilmington. I'm not sure it's the same place, but we have Newark, Ohio. Again, look at the cymatics, guys. 1876. It's a pretty nice building for 1876. I got to give it my hats off to Newark. Sandusky, Ohio, 498 Columbus Ave. Sandusky, Ohio, 498 Columbus Ave. Sandusky, Ohio, 498 Columbus Ave. All on the same corner. Pretty impressive, guys. Then we also have this in Sandusky, Ohio, the Merry-Go-Round Museum. Nice. Can they throw up a merry-go-round museum like this in my town? That'd be very interesting. Now we have Athens, Mansfield. Shout out Alec, Mansfield, and Mansfield. Look at the size of this building. This is actually absurd. That's all one building. Lancaster. Again, let's pay attention to the cymatic. Toledo, Ohio. This could be in Washington, D.C. This could be our Capitol building. And nobody would say we need a bigger Capitol building. This would definitely suffice for the 1800s. And then, guys, we have all these hospitals that were all around in Ohio. This was a train terminal. In Amsterdam, they had some pretty impressive train terminals, but I'm not sure if this was Ohio, but I know this is in the States. And again, we have these massive hospitals or insane asylums. This is in Zanesville. This is in Zanesville for the massive Muslim population in Zanesville, of course. And Wittenberg, shout out Burr, Springfield, Ohio. Guys, look how big this building is in Springfield, Ohio. I doubt the population in Springfield today is over 10,000 people. The fact that this building exists is nothing short of an anomaly. And don't get me started with Cincinnati. Cincinnati is one of the most esoteric cities, point blank period. It actually has... Since the history of Cincinnati actually kind of is rooted in mystery. Chillicothe, Marietta, shout out Barrett, and Lake County, Ohio. Anybody ever been to Lake County? I have never been, but look at these two buildings. Absurd. Wayne County Courthouse, 1877 to 1879. And, that's easy construction for Wooster, Ohio in 1879 with no construction tools. Population, 5,000, yada, yada, yada. All right, what's the point, guys? The point is just to think, where did or what possibly could be being concealed from us? We know stuff like this exists. So who built this and where did they go? What technology did they have? What could they possibly be concealing from us? These are the airships that are shown to actually charge. Here, one second. I thought there's a better picture for it, but here's a reset. I'm not sure if this is in America, but the idea that a reset is possible. You don't see many buildings this magnificent next to just dirt roads. Could they have possibly found something when they came over? Or, I guess found something. And could they possibly have repopulated it? What were they doing with the catacombs? This is bone chilling, pun intended. Crazy. And what were they doing with all the insane asylums? It just makes you think. And why is there striking resemblance to buildings in India to buildings in Kenton, Ohio? Well, drop a like and a follow, and let me know if you liked the video, and let's chat it up in the comments. Let me know.